Hello and welcome to the Creatives in Focus podcast. On this podcast, we share real conversations with creatives and founders who are passionate about impact and change. I am Victoria Bola Okerinde, your host. On this podcast, we discuss the journey to excellence and creating for impact. This is episode 27. Wow, 2 weeks flies by so quickly. Announcement. So we're currently in lockdown once again. And I must say, well-being is especially important in this time. I hope you are keeping well, keeping safe. I have decided to give you, one of our listeners, a self-care box, and more details will be given at the end of this episode. This week, I had the pleasure to speak to Federica Trimarchi. She is the founder of the Mood Club, a business inspiring to get people into a positive mindset. I'm sure we all need this right now. Fede was recently shortlisted as a female startup of the year. This is supported by Enterprise Nation. Fede has 8 years of experience in the social enterprise and nonprofit sector, especially those supporting organizations that are creating system change and solutions to social challenges. Fede is passionate about social impact, mental health, and innovation. I must say, Fede is an inspiration, leaving her full-time job and deciding to focus on her business. And in this time, she has grown her business to great heights, even in the midst of a pandemic. So what do we speak about on this episode? The first half of this episode will cover developing positive habits, and ways we can cope with stress, especially during this period. Fede also shares her insight into entrepreneurship, staying motivated and growing a business, and being creative even in the midst of a pandemic. So let's get straight into this episode, introducing Fede Trimarchi. Hello, good morning, Fede.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for joining me on the Creatives in Focus podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And it's so amazing having you. I mean, your business, your platform, the Mood Club, has really made such a difference in the lives of people. I mean, helping them to develop positive habits to improve their mood. And I know this is something that we all need during this time. And I thought, let's get Fede on the podcast to speak about her business and how we can help ourselves. Yeah.
Great, of course.
Fantastic. And I must say congratulations on actually coming up as a semi-finalist for the Female Startup of the Year.
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
the other, it was really a bunch of amazing women who've been shortlisted. So yeah, I was really glad to have come this far.
Wow, amazing. And wishing you all the best of luck in that. So yeah, we usually just start the podcast by our guests sort of telling us a little bit about their journey to where they are now. And I know that you've been working prior to starting this business. So can you just let us know a little bit more about you and your journey to the Mood Club?
Yes, of course. So my name is Fede. I am 33. I have a degree in philosophy, and then I took a master's degree in social ethics. So I've always focused my research, my studies around the concept of social responsibility. It felt natural for me to look for a job in the non-profit sector to kind of apply what I've studied in practice. I've been in the social sector and in particular in the mental health sector for 8 years now. I'm Italian, but I've been living for the past 6 years in London, and I actually just moved back to Italy. Because I wanted to be closer to family and to nature as well. So I decided it was time to move out of the big city. But I set up the Mood Club a couple of years ago while I was still working for a mental health non-profit organization. And I kept it as a side business up until March this year. So I actually left my other job the week lockdown started in the UK.
Oh my days. Wow. That must have been quite
which probably wasn't the best time. I mean, it was and it wasn't at the same time, because I have a 2-year-old at home. So of course, that gave me the flexibility to be with him all the time. But the business at the same time really started to grow quite a lot since lockdown, because of course everything I do is around positivity and keeping a positive mindset. And I guess especially this year, people have really needed some type of support in that in that respect. With everything that is going on in the world, really. So yeah, this is where I'm at the moment. As I said, it started as a side business, but I've been able to put more time and more energy into it, and now it's going quite well. I have a fulfillment house based in the UK, and now I'm looking for a second one in Central Europe as I'm shipping my products in over 30 countries at the moment. So yeah,
Amazing.
This has been the journey so far.
Yeah, amazing. What an amazing journey. And sort of encouraging to hear that even in the midst of the pandemic, in the midst of everything, you having to move, to Italy and taking care of your child as well during this time, that you've still been able to grow and kind of help people at the same time. I think is so amazing. Just tell us a little bit about the Mood Club, as in why you decided to launch this brand, because you've been working in in the within the mental health social health sphere. You've been working for a few years in that. Why did you decide to move, to switch from working full time to actually going into business?
Yeah, I think, this is definitely kind of an area I'm really passionate and interested about, and the idea of supporting people with their mental health, especially. I felt like I've always worked for kind of medium to big organizations, and I felt the need to kind of see the impact of the work I was doing a bit closer. So I really love the idea of creating something myself that could benefit people, that could help people out, even just a little bit, to make them feel a bit better about themselves. And I think I also wanted, well, especially having a young kid and having a family, I also wanted to be able to have a flexible work and kind of be able to decide how much to put into it, how much time, and still be able to be present with my family. But the idea behind the Mood Club and the mood cards especially, which is my main product, is coming from the mental health sector. I wanted to create something quite simple but effective that people could bring around, that people could focus on for just a few minutes a day, something quite small but tangible, so that they could feel better right away, but also that could work in the long term. So my mood cards are practical activities that you can do for just a few minutes, simple activities but quite detailed. And the idea is that you can do them and feel a bit better right away, but then you can embed them as positive habits in your daily life. So something that can really help you find a positive mindset in the long run as well.
Yeah, fantastic. That actually brings me to a question I was going to ask about, like, how do the mood cards actually help individuals? So you've mentioned that you can use them just like for, I don't know for how long, for whenever you need them, and it can help you immediately to lift your mood. And you can also implement them in your habits and your self-care routine, whatever it is, to help you in the long run to be able to manage, your mood. And just, I mean, is it just for individuals? Can the mood cards actually work, in a group? Like, because I know you have a few products that are on sale at the moment, and they are tailored to different audiences. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my idea was always to kind of create sets of mood cards for different groups or for different kind of areas of life that you want to focus on. So at the moment, I have two. One is for individuals, so activities that you can do every day to focus on mindfulness and self-care, confidence. And then I have one for couples, for partners to use together. So they're around, the idea is still, of course, the main idea is to embrace positive habits. But this one is around, connecting with the partner, understanding each other better, and really embed habits that can bring positivity in your relationship. And the way the cards work is that you have a positive prompt on one side, and then you have detailed instruction on the back, and you can just pick one at random. And something that people really love about them is that they come in different colors, and they have different patterns on. So I guess you can pick one depending on your mood, focusing on the color that you like, or you can focus on one specific area to implement or to spend some time on. As I said, each set has 5 different areas. So I guess you can be guided a little bit more by the instructions, or you can just pick one and bring it with you, keep it in your wallet, keep it in your drawer. I see people on social media actually framing them and putting them on the wall. um, yeah.
Wow, so amazing. I think especially I'm single, but I think especially during this time where people are have to spend a lot more time with each other, I think having those cards are so amazing in a couple, in a family setting, even with maybe your flatmates. I mean, you can use those cards with each other to try and help each other and to learn more about each other in terms of their struggles, in terms of what would help them if you can notice their mood going down, or so I think it's really, really amazing. So let's go back to sort of the personal side of the mood club for you. So how does the principles of the mood club actually translate in your personal life? I know you mentioned a little bit of that in the beginning when you were introducing the mood club to us, but like if you could just give us a bit more examples of how this translates into your life.
Yeah. Well, I guess first of all, something that probably haven't really shared before, but I guess there is a lot about my personal experience within the reasons why I decided to set up this business. Of course, probably also because I've been working in the sector, I'm always very much aware of my mental health as well. And I've had, I guess, as anyone else, really moments in my life where I wasn't feeling as good. And I do understand the value of, knowing that it is normal to struggle, and kind of hearing it as well, so that you don't feel alone in whenever you feel down or you're not at your best. But then at the same time, so I do share a lot about my personal experiences, but also about tips that I do put in practice myself every day. Also because of course I need to practice what I preach, but I like to, so I don't only have products, I also have blog, and I'm about to launch some online classes as well. And the idea behind them, what I share on social media as well, is that I really want to start from kind of regular experiences that any one of us can really face during the day, and think about simple tips or things that that you can put in practice to feel good, or like to face some challenges. So I talk a lot about how to turn mistakes into opportunities, for example, or how to really face challenges with a positive attitude. So it's not just about positivity. I always say having a positive mindset doesn't mean that you have to be happy all the time. So for me, it is also really important to share and to talk about the downside, about the challenges that we all face, the kind of negative emotions we can happen to deal with, and kind of bring some positivity into how we go about them, really.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us your personal sort of experiences. And I mean, we'll touch on a little bit of the tips that can help in this time to deal with stress and develop a positive mindset. And I think pinpointing something you mentioned about not feeling alone, especially when you're going through a difficult time, in terms of mood or mental health, or just anything in general, just not feeling alone, I think is really important. And hopefully you can share with us some of the places people can go to if they're feeling like, they can't really talk to anyone about what's going on in their own family or in their own bubble. Thank you so much. So let's just go break it down a little bit. And for some people who maybe are listening to this and they're like, oh, okay, you guys are talking about mood, or you're talking about positive mindset. Let's make it very simple. So how do you define mood, and what is a positive mindset?
I think, well, for me, mood is the way you feel, and it of course is just something that you feel kind of in the moment, is the way you can feel about things that are happening in your life. So emotions, the emotions, the feelings that something can provoke in you. And of course, since moods can kind of fluctuate depending on what you're focusing on, I think it is really important to focus on on the things that you can do. And this is what the Mood Club is all about, the things that you can do to change your mood, to boost your mood, to feel better. And so having a positive mindset, and a positive mindset, as I said, doesn't mean that you have to be happy all the time, but it means that you can, even when negativity hits, even when you're facing a challenge, you have the tools and the resources in place so that you can look at the bright side of really kind of tackling the challenge without focusing too much on the negativity, and taking all the energy you need to keep going, or to focus on the present and on the future instead of, lingering in the past. So this is what I try to share. All the tips that I share, all the content that I share is all about, focusing on what you can be grateful about, especially during difficult times, focusing on what is actually working in your life, and not only just about what it's missing from your life.
Thank you so much. Yeah, focusing on what is present rather than what is missing. And in terms of coping with everyday stress, so I know personally, as I'm working on this platform, I also work full time in public health. So it's been very, very stressful for me, and like for many other people working from home, many other parents who are, who were homeschooling at a point, and working full time. Do you have any tips on coping with everyday stress, especially during this pandemic and crisis?
So first of all, I want to say that, of course, this is something we are all struggling with. And there is no magic potion. What I always say is that if you want to work on having a positive mindset, it's all about putting some work into it and practice. So there's no magic fix. So you don't have to feel discouraged if you start with a good intention and then suddenly it's like, oh no, negativity is hitting me again. That's completely normal. I'd say what I've learned from this situation myself is, for example, that I really needed to focus on the positivity that was already in my life, on the good things that were already in my life. Of course, when you're really stressed, when you have deadlines, when you're stuck at home and you can't go out, it's easy to, feel deflated. But then again, I've really encouraged people to think about in this moment, what are the values that you want to focus on? What are the things that really matters for you in life? Think about your family, think about your friends, and there are still amazing ways to connect to each other nowadays. So maybe kind of taking a step back and thinking about what really matters for you, and taking this as a chance instead of, maybe just watching TV more because you don't have anywhere else to go. Thinking about things that you can really invest in, that can really gives you something positive back. So maybe you can try and learn a new skill, or connecting, as I said, with your friend and family a bit more than maybe what you were doing before. And the other thing, I think, since this is definitely something that it's gonna pass, it's not gonna last forever, to also focus some time to think about exciting plans for the future. I think this is really important. So how can I use this time to build something for myself that can make me happy in the future? So I know lots of people are actually, taking this time to think, maybe I'm not really satisfied with the job I'm doing. Maybe I can focus on a new hobby or a new passion. Maybe I can, value that I'm going to spend more time in the nature in the future, because that can really help me So I think this is also a very good time to reflect and to plan ahead for new exciting things when all of this will be over.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much. I think that those are amazing tips. I know for many people, actually, like you said, investing in your well-being is so important. So if this involves you kind of developing a new hobby that you have to maybe buy some painting supplies and start painting on the weekends, or if it's just in terms of self-care, ensuring that you take a lovely relaxing bath at the end of the day, or at the end of a stressful day, or simply just reaching out to a family member. I know that's something I was doing, because during the lockdown I was away from my family. So I was in my own flat, and I would call my parents maybe once or twice a day. It seems a bit excess for some people, but for me, that is kind of what made me feel at rest, that they were well, and for them to feel at rest that I was also keeping well during the lockdown. Thank you so much. And in terms of resources as well, so we have the Mood Club, we have your card. Are there any other resources that have helped you? I know there's Mind UK, and in terms of the local, wherever people, the audience that are listening now, wherever you are, I know the local authority have a lot of support for people who are recently facing hardship. Also, the health and wellbeing support is there. But for you, Fede, are there any other resources that you're happy to direct people to?
Well, especially in the UK, I think there is a very good and comprehensive directory on the NHS website. Actually, they had for a while as well, kind of sort of a series of very simple quizzes that you could take to help you figure out if you might need more help in terms of related to anxiety problems or maybe stress. And there was also as well a very comprehensive directories of all the charities working around different kind of support that you can get mental health wise. One that I really love and support is Anxiety UK, which is a charity I've just established a partnership with, and they do release a variety of free resources and training and workshops that you can do, especially at times like this where stress can turn into anxiety quite easily. And then I actually found that social media is a very good place to connect with accounts that can give support. There are many in my fields, many that I follow myself. There are many around meditation, for example, offering free meditation classes or workshops. And now that everything is kind of online happening, workshops, events, there is so much that you can find. And I always try to share as much good accounts to follow on that respect.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. And like you mentioned, the NHS, very useful, very important. And social media, I know social media can be quite intense for some people at the moment, but you can also use it as a tool to kind of connect with other people, with platforms like you've mentioned that will help to support you. Thank you so much. So just moving on to a few questions on entrepreneurship, because as an entrepreneur, this is also a very difficult time for people. A lot of businesses, unfortunately, are facing a lot of hardship due to sort of, the restrictions and everything. So, I mean, as an entrepreneur during this time, what drives you, what keeps you motivated?
Well, that's a very good question. I think on some level, I keep thinking I'm so very lucky because of the fact that, of course, my business is been going well through this difficult time, but also that I can work from home at this time, that I do have flexibility so I can keep doing what I love doing, and I can do it from home so that I have my child around and so on. I think what really helped me through the past few months is community, which is, make me realize that having, especially when you set up a business, it can feel pretty isolating for a solo founder, and when you're behind your desk, it can also feel you can feel really detached from the people that you're reaching out to. So, and connecting with other small businesses that are kind of going through the same is always something that I recommend for anyone starting out or running a small business. And there are many resources that you can access for free, very amazing supportive groups of entrepreneurs, especially as a female founder. There are so many that are based around female connecting together and sharing skills and sharing tips. And I think, that can really help when you're running a small business, knowing that you have like-minded people that can understand what you're going through and can give you some support as well along the way.
To be honest, I actually found out about you and about your business and what you do through Enterprise Nation. So I was on, their platform that support entrepreneurs, and during this time they've been doing quite a lot of webinars to help people sort of in terms of building their business, in terms of different things. So So yeah, for any entrepreneurs, anyone who's looking to start a business during this time, it's really good to kind of research support groups, communities that will help you during this time to kind of keep your motivation up, for you to learn and for you to learn new ways to innovate your business as well. Thank you so much, Fede. So yeah, let's talk about your experience building a business for good. What do you have? What experience advice do you have for anyone who is struggling with sticking to their ethos and their vision for their brand? Because at this moment, a lot of businesses are trying to innovate. Everybody's just trying to make, money. But what advice do you have?
I think this is so important, not just because of this difficult time we're going through, but in general, when you set up your business. And I guess in general, when you have, like, in doing your job, and everything that you do is really important to keep having your values in front of you, so that you know why it is worth to stay up all night to finish an application, or keep working at insane hours, but also to get the right energy and motivation to do your job every day. And I think I didn't mention this, but I actually set up my business after I attended a startup accelerator from Escape the City, which is an organization based in London, supporting people who wants to change their career path or who wants to set up their own businesses. And one of the very first exercises they made us do was to think about 3 values, 3 things that we wanted to, like 3 main reasons why we wanted to set up our own businesses. And I guess this can change this can change while you go, but I mean, there is a lot that you can change. You can change your business model, you can change many things, but the values pretty much stay the same around your whys. And for me, for example, it was, I wanted to help out other people. So I wanted to create something to support people, even if in a minimal way, but I wanted to do that. I wanted to have the flexibility to be able to have my own family. So I actually had my son so I started trading when and then I started the idea behind the Mood Club, and then I discovered I was pregnant a month later. So for me, it was very much happening at the same time. But that was a value that was really important for me, having the flexibility to be able to have a family and keep working. And the third one for me was about really myself. So setting up a challenge for myself. And, I think this is very much so important even today. Everything I do, I think I'm doing it to grow a little bit, to learn something about myself. And sometimes I'm really surprised because I look back and I think, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have never been able to do anything like this. For example, talking to you, I would have been so embarrassed, probably feeling that I wasn't really able to talk in public, or I don't know. So for me, that kind of ongoing challenge to step out of my comfort zone and do something new is really something that is motivating me a lot. So I think, those are definitely the values that are driving my business. But I think this is a very good exercise for every entrepreneur, especially at the beginning, but in general, to review why is it that you're doing this, and if it's still worth it, if it still makes sense, then it's still the way to go. Otherwise, there's always time, to think back or think about something new.
Thank you so much, Fede. I mean, I fully agree with you. Review your values. And I think this is something, entrepreneurs, anyone who wants to start, shouldn't be doing at the end of the year. You should do it regularly. It should be infused in every decision that you make, every product that you bring, every service that you're bringing to people, your values, why you're doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for kind of giving us sort of that insight. And I know it will be useful for anyone who listens to this. Our final question, my final question to you, maybe not the final, but rounding up. What advice do you have for growing your business and reach during this current climate?
So do you mean for people starting out now?
For people starting out now, and for those who have been in business for a while but still want to grow in the midst of this time. Should people be looking to grow, or should we be looking to sustain? Yeah.
I think now more than ever, probably the best thing to do is to keep an open mind and really think about, there is not just one way to do things. I think this is something that you can apply to running a business at all times, but especially now, you really have to be really quite flexible with everything you do. So for example, if you run a product-based business and you rely on shipping your products to your clients, you have to think in the middle of everything that is happening, what if Royal Mail shut down tomorrow? What if, this can happen? And I mean, they are already struggling a lot, but for example, airmail has been a bit of a nightmare in the past few months. So I think thinking about new ways that you can still do what you do, approaching new direction, thinking about what if this is not going to be sustainable? What can I do to kind of find new ways to reach out to my community, reach out to my customers? Is there anything new that I can think of? For example, actually the idea of setting up my online classes started when the pandemic hit, because I've been thinking, what if it's not going to be feasible anymore to ship my products? So I thought about the idea of kind of bringing some of my contents online, so they could still make and create a viable business. So I guess keeping an open mind, especially now, is really important to think about not only how to pivot. There is a lot going on in terms of like people suggesting how to pivot a business. It doesn't have to be that drastic, I think, but if you can think of any minor adjustment that you can bring to your business that can kind of leave some doors open just in case things are going to change again, I think that's a quite smart thing to do.
Thank you so much, Fede. Like, I fully agree with you. And I think it just depends on sort of your priorities as well as a business. Are you looking to just sustain? Or are you looking to grow? But I think one thing in common, there's something in common that you've mentioned now, is the need for innovation. So looking at what you currently offer and how that will best serve your audience, your clients. And like you mentioned, bringing things online, setting up classes one-to-one or in a group. So you're definitely reaching people. You're still reaching your audience, but it's on a different platform in a different way. And I think for some people, they may be able to pivot. For others, they may not. But it's something that we should all kind of look to think about how we can best serve our clients or community in this time.
I think sometimes it's also about so what I thought actually the past few months have been quite useful for me, especially when you have some extra time that you can apply into what you do, could be really take the time to take a step back from what you're doing and look at your business and think about if there are any weak area that you might to work on a bit better, or there are so many admin tasks that we kind of put off all the time because we don't have time when we're in the middle of things. So I guess if you run a small business and you've kind of hit a bit of a slump and you have a bit of extra time to focus on I don't know, SEO or setting up a new social media channel or anything new that you can do, that maybe in a few months, if things are going back again, you know that you'll get there a bit more prepared, for example.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I fully agree with you. I mean, it's also the same thing, like just reevaluating where you are, your strengths and your weaknesses, and where you can get better and how you can position yourself in the future to be able to continue to thrive and to be better. Thank you so much, Fede. You've really provided some awesome insight for us, from obviously sharing what the Mood Club is about to how we can cope with our moods and stress in this time. And you've also provided some really, really great insight as an entrepreneur and how you're thriving even in the midst of this time. So how can everyone connect with you? How can they connect with you personally and the Mood Club as well?
I think the best way to connect with me is always via Instagram. Super open to reply to people. I love actually getting messages from people, and I think if I can I'm always happy to help, especially if you're running a small business and you want to get some advice, or I think Instagram is the best way to go. So my account is at the.mood.club. You find me there, and then you have all the links to my email and to anything else you might need to know more about the Mood Club and me.
Amazing, fantastic. Thank you so much, Fede. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you today. And I'm sure so many people would have picked up some amazing tips from our conversation today. And yes, please do reach out to Fede if you have any questions, and check out her website for the Mood Club and the cards and all the amazing things that she will be launching very soon. Looking forward to all of this, Fede, and connecting more with you.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to episode 27. As promised, I will be giving you, a listener, a self-care box. You will be having the chance to win one self-care box. One listener will have the chance to win a self-care box. This will be provided by Good to Me UK, a fantastic organization helping people to sort of maintain great health and well-being, and especially in this time. So all you have to do is just head over to our Instagram at Creativesinfocus, and the full instructions will be on our latest post dated the 14th of November 2020. You'll be able to see it because it will just be bright and very obvious. And all we require you to do is simply like that post, obviously follow us, follow Fede at the Mood Club, and tag a friend on that post. We want you to share the love and also let people know sort of what is going on our platform, and and hopefully you can have the chance to win that box. Don't worry, we will have more giveaways, so please continue to support us by subscribing, sharing and liking our posts and podcasts. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and as always, you can connect with us through our socials on Instagram at Creativesinfocus, on Twitter at Creativesinfocus. If you have suggestions for topics or guests, because we are lining up our guests for 2021, please leave us an email at creativesinfocus@gmail.com. Until next time, influence change and create for impact.